The June 21st, 2022 meeting of the Grand Forks County Commission will come to order. All commissioners are present at this time. The first matter is the approval of the minutes. Motion by Commissioner Ross.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Peach. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the order of the agenda, Commissioner Ross.
Mr. Chair, under item 5, I guess the emergency manager won't be here.
Sure.
Could we put Mr. Barda in there?
Barda.
Yep.
Okay. And Mr. Ingen, do you have one you want to add, or you're just going to cover that?
I'll cover it later. I'm gonna have to communicate with the
Okay.
NDSU extension person to see if it.
Okay, we're gonna at some point try to add in the issue extension, but they're gonna have to call in, so we're not sure when to do that. With those items added.
Oh,
Yeah, how quickly we forget, Sheriff.
Dave.
Dave, you gotta add Andy.
What?
Capital improvements?
What?
The capital improvement topic?
He's already on the agenda.
You're on, so we'll cover that.
Oh.
You're on the number,
Agenda.
yeah, number 9. We'll take care of you, Sheriff. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew that. I thought you were on for some things.
Okay.
Just one note. Sorry about that.
So do we have a motion to approve the order of the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Knopf. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items that any commissioner would like pulled for discussion? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I do have a question.
Sure.
For the sheriff, and simple question, but on here with the positions. Oh, never mind, that's later. Race,
Okay.
but I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Peach. We'll give it to her. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is passed. So we proceed down to item number 5, which is Mr. Barda. Step up to the microphone, please, and identify yourself for the record.
Good evening. My name is Ronald Barda. I'm a Grand Forks resident here in town. So on June 11th of 2022, I was campaigning from the Lease Center outside the NDCC required distance and was impeded by the county auditor, Ms. Debbie Nelson. She's interrupting and shouting at students as I was speaking.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Is it on, Tom?
Let me check. It might not be on. And I apologize. You're good.
Okay.
I guess lean in, right?
No, you should be fine there, I think.
Okay. So on the 11th of June, 2022, I was campaigning in front of the Lease Center outside of the NDCC required distance and was impeded by the county auditor. Ms. Debbie Nelson was interrupting and shouting to citizens as I was speaking to them on a consistent basis. She kept calling to me and asking questions such as, "What are you telling them?" and "Are you asking them to vote for you?" And these actions caused quite a bit of chaos. And although many citizens still spoke, they were hesitant because of her actions. Ms. Nelson was actually in violation of NDCC 12.1-14-01, which is official oppression, in her claim that acting in official capacity as county auditor, she impeded myself and citizens I was speaking with in the exercise of the right to campaign. Ms. Nelson was not done. As she continued to impede my campaign, she then threatened to have the sheriff remove me from the location, even after I provided her the specifics on the NDCC and the rules for campaigning. This was a violation of NDCC 12.10-14-02, interference with elections. Through her threat of force by using the sheriff to remove me. I was campaigning for an elective office. and was harassed by this county employee with the threats to be removed. Both violations identified above show that Ms. Nelson also violated NDCC 12.1-14-03 subparagraph 4, obstructing or interfering with the lawful conduct of such election. Ms. Nelson then contacted the Alaris Center in an attempt to have me removed from the area I was in to an area that was 300 feet away. I was not willing to argue with a nice employee from the Alaris and recommended they call the police department to resolve the issue, and they did. The Alaris employee admitted there were no issues except for the communication from Ms. Nelson. The police department, after reading the NDCC, departed without any further action. Ms. Nelson remained at the location taking photos and filming my communication with the public in an attempt to intimidate my campaign. On the 14th of June, 2022, I again was at the Alaris Center campaigning, and I was met by an Alaris staff member and a police officer. After much communication, I was introduced to the general manager for the Alaris Center, who informed me that they'd been getting calls from the county and complaints about my campaign. I clarified who the county was by asking if it was Ms. Nelson, and they confirmed it was. Ms. Nelson is in violation of 3 NDCC codes, 12.1-14, -01, 02, and 03, all of which are Class A misdemeanors. Her unwillingness to abide by or enforce state law regarding elections is a disservice to the state, the county, and the citizens of North Dakota. I filed a complaint with the Grand Forks Police Department about the mentioned violations of law. And in accordance with NDCC 16.1-10-07, if any individual is found guilty of any corrupted practice, the individual must be punished by being deprived of the individual's government job, or the individual nomination or election must be declared void. I was hoping that it wouldn't come to this situation. I don't want this outcome. I was expecting some sort of outreach and an apology. That hasn't happened, and this is where we're at today. The reference for everything I just spoke of is posted online on my campaign page that I have yet to take down because of those videos being on there. So I would ask you to please take a look, talk with Ms. Nelson, because I am a government servant. I've been a government servant for 35 years. I work contracts and law, and my problem statement is what I do on duty when I tell people I'm a government servant affects my country, my government. So I'd ask that an investigation is started and looked into this. Thank you for your time.
Any comments?
My only comment is I guess I've watched the videos several times. I've had a conversation with Ms. Nelson, and from my perspective, but it's a commission decision, but from my perspective, there is not a reprimand that's needed. It's unfortunate that this happened. You know, it's unfortunate that those that were involved didn't come up together and talk as adults to resolve some of these things. But what I was seeing is that, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong. I'm not picking on anybody or anything like that, but it's just like you really need to come together as adults and talk about this. But I think that what I saw is that you know, there were a lot of accusations, things like that, that were made and implied. And you know, when I spoke to Ms. Nelson, she was in agreement with the distance that you were away from the door. That was a non-issue for her. She wasn't concerned about that. Her concern simply was that she had received comments from the inspection people at the Alaris at the election that had made comment about people that had made comment to them about what was happening outside and things like that. They shared that with Ms. Nelson. But it had nothing to do with the distance. That was an issue with the Alaris Center. But yeah, when I was looking at the videos and things like that, it was implied that that was probably Ms. Nelson that had made those complaints and had called the police And in my conversation with Miss Nelson, she did not.
She did not know, ma'am. She called the Alaris Center, and Miss Hannah Hahn, I believe her name is, came out and said that we had calls from the county and they asked me to move. And at that point, I told her, so, ma'am, I don't want to argue. I would just recommend we call the police.
You're gonna talk, stand up with the
Oh,
microphone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can, I heard that.
Okay, yeah. So I was in, but we'd had a conversation. I had a conversation earlier that day with Miss Nelson. And she asked very pointed questions and actually praised that conversation on my Facebook page after she left. I said, you know, it was great that she's out here doing her job. I appreciate, you know, government workers doing that. And then we talked about the distances specifically. She kept on asking me if I knew. I said, yes, ma'am, I know. And she said, I said, are you aware of it? And she goes, yes, I'm asking you. So I thought it was over with. I think that was around 11:30 in the morning. I thought it was done and over with. Had the conversation. It was a cordial conversation. And then she left, but then she came back, parked right across from my area that I was standing, and was yelling at citizens passing by, you don't have to talk to him. Yeah, and then she'd yell at me, what are you saying to them? Are you telling them to vote for you? And that's what I'm talking about with regard to state law, the impeding of elections. But she did identify herself numerous times. She was county commissioner. It took me a while because I don't know Miss Nelson, but it did take me a while to get her name. Because as a county employee, I don't know how your policies are, but in my world at the federal level, you know, if I'm in the Constitution doing my business and somebody asks my name, you know, it's automatic. You know, we identify who we are, who we work for, what we're doing. So we did have a pretty decent conversation. It just went downhill the second time that they came back, that she came back on the 11th. And then on the 14th, I don't remember the young lady's name, the general manager, but she identified that that the county had called. And when I confirmed, oh, you mean Miss Nelson? She said, yes, but she's our point of contact. So it continued. I thought it was taken care of on the 11th. I thought we were good to go on the 11th, but it continued over on the 14th. So like I said, had it been done and over with, that would have been great. You know, hey, you know what? I misread the law and you're right. You know, I appreciate you, and we move on. But that wasn't the opportunity, and that wasn't the case. Sorry, man.
Anything else?
But the distance was never, that was a non-issue for her. I mean, that was not part of it. That was directives from Alaris, because they have the free speech area and they were trying to figure that out.
No, ma'am, I would disagree. The
Okay,
distance.
that's fine.
The distance was the first conversation we had. And then it was, I think she misconstrued campaigning in that area. She thought of it as, you know, you can't campaign anywhere on the Alaris, which, you know, okay, Roger, I understand. It's easily misconstrued, I would say. I give her that. But, you know, when I showed her the NDCC code, and then I had to continually justify my presence, and then as I'm talking to people, they're being dissuaded from talking to a candidate about, you know, the policies. For me, that's disheartening. You know, I've been serving the country for the last 35 years. I'm still serving, and I hold this to be true, you know, and I stand up for it. So thank you, ma'am.
Anything else? I think the matter was referred to the state attorney's office. Maybe there will be some guidelines come out from there, but thank you for coming in. We appreciate the information.
I do appreciate you guys too, everybody. And it's a hard job. I allowed it, Miss Nelson, online, that it's difficult to approach somebody and you know, try and ascertain behavior.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I'll say this, I don't want to belabor this. We had John and we've got people waiting here,
Sorry.
here online, but you know, elections are very difficult to operate. Ms. Nelson does an outstanding job at doing that. We do get complaints. I don't know how long you've lived here in North Dakota, but a few years ago, the election law changed because You know, you used to have to pick up your yard signs the night before. You weren't allowed to campaign on election day, and a lot of people still hold to that. Even though the laws changed, they don't believe that you should be doing that. So you will get complaints for doing that. That's
Understood.
gonna happen here.
Yes, sir. I only moved back a year and a half ago. I've been trying to get back for 15 years and finally got the opportunity. So
Okay,
thank you guys very much.
appreciate it. Thank you for coming. Next on our agenda is Mr. Josh Haroldstadt. Is he here tonight? Let's see. Okay. That's county plan. Mr. Magnus.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I have one item today is to bring back our wind farm regulations and our proposed amendments to. On April 5th, the commission enacted a 90-day moratorium on wind farms amid some concerns from both affected citizens and people within the wind farm industry about some of the regulations that were in there currently. I was directed to take it to the planning commission to identify those issues and any subsequent amendments that would be necessary. We did that in the May Planning Commission meeting. We identified all the issues. We took input from all parties involved, and we came up with 3 issues that needed to be addressed, and that was setbacks from the wind turbines to non-participating dwellings, and our shadow flicker requirement, and also we needed to define our tower height in terms of setbacks from those right away property lines. So with that, through researching other people's ordinances, input from people within the wind turbine industry, the township officials, the citizens, and also looking what the Public Service Commission regulations are, we did come up with the proposed setback changes. The first one is from the turbines to non-participating dwellings, and our proposal was to increase that setback from 1/4 mile to 1/2 mile, as shown at 72.8-1. Then as far as our tower height definition, the setback from property lines and road right-of-ways, the intent is so that if something happens and it falls over because of land, somebody else's property or in a road right-of-way. I believe previously we had 1.5 tower heights, but my interpretation from when we came up with the ordinance, it was from the top of the tower to include the blade. Blade lengths have changed with industry standards and so forth. So we thought it was probably the clearest and met the intent of the ordinance just to change it to 1.1 tower heights as measured from the base of the structure to the tip of the blade. That kind of clears up any issues that any parties have deciding that. So we did that at 72-8-2, and then in 78-8-4. That was where we referred to the road right of ways, railroad right of ways, and any overhead utilities. The final change as far as shadow flicker, and that's in 72.8-5. The previous did not allow any type of shadow flicker on non-participating dwellings. It was basically explained to us that the shadow flicker could stretch miles based on sun angles and so forth, and to allow 0. That is, I couldn't find any instance of that being done, and it was pretty much what it would do is preclude any type of project in the future from proceeding. So what we did is we took a look at what the Public Service did and what other ordinances did, and 30 hours per year of shadow flicker on dwellings seemed to be about middle of the road in terms of, I felt comfortable with this, especially because we're increasing the setback to 1/2 mile. So we changed it to not exceed 30 hours per year. That's a little under 5 minutes a day. So those are the 3 amendments I'm requesting, and we'll be happy to answer questions.
So the shadow flicker, 5 minutes a day would be where there'd be a slight shadow going across your property from the angle of the sun on the blades. Is that?
Right, and yeah, and it's not from property, it's from the actual dwelling. And that's just for non-participating dwellings.
And that seems to be industry standard or
Yes, that's what Public Service Commission is currently.
in North Dakota?
What's that?
In North Dakota?
In North Dakota.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
I make a motion that we approve those two. As we already heard it in that.
Three things.
Three, okay.
And then also with moratorium.
Okay.
Second.
And you second it, Commissioner Regan. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussions on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Application for public display of fireworks. First of all, it looks like the Grand Forks Water Board, but I don't see anybody here from there.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
members of the commission, I believe that the sheriff has reviewed and recommend
On the water board one, is
on
that
the
right?
water board.
Sheriff's got somewhat of a smile scowl back there, I'm not sure.
Sorry.
But it's signed off or checked off, is that right?
That was the Larimore Dam one, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So can we have a motion to approve that? Motion to approve, second? Did you second? Second from Mr. Ross. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one passes. Then we have Laura Beeler, is it?
Taylor,
Taylor.
I know.
Give it my best shot.
We get it all the time. Normally they say Mueller, but
Okay.
all right. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to talk. I'm here on behalf of Memory Fireworks, and what we would just like to do is a small 20 to 30-minute show on either, I believe on the application I put the 28th or even the 29th. We could check the 29th to just one night is all we want. We are aware that we are close to the airport. And what we would do to help with that, first of all, is have spotters out, 3 spotters looking for planes, being able to talk to the air tower, when a good time to start would be, and let them know that we are starting. And if that will work for them, and then go ahead and call them when we are finished so that they know we are finished. The fireworks that we are putting up will just be fountains and some multi-shots. We do not plan on doing any artillery. It would just be ones that would go no more than 200 feet in the air. And this is just to show what we have so that the community can see what we have, and also to bring over.
I'll jump in. Where are you located from the airport?
We are half a mile west of the airport.
And the other thing is, did you run this by the airport? Have we talked to them at all? Or are they concerned?
I have not talked with them at all. I just filled this out, and I just was going through the process. I have no problems talking to the airport, having a conversation with them.
Mr. Ross?
Chairman, well, I believe this has come up before. I believe with Jenner's Jerry, same thing, and the airport was not in favor of it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So you should run that by the airport.
Mr. Chair, Ryan Reisinger is the executive director, and the airport authority actually meets on Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but I would call Mr. Reisinger first at the airport and then see if you need to go to the airport authority.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
Can you tell her where they meet?
yes, they meet if you go into the airport and go up on the second floor, before you go through TSA. take a left and walk. There's a meeting room right next to the snack bar area before you go through TSA.
Okay,
That's where the board eats.
okay. And should the airport say, okay, then we're good to go, or do I need to come back to you?
Next meeting's the fifth, so that'd
that's
be a
a big
little late for our next meeting.
They're actually, yeah, the 28th or 9th is only 7-8 days out, 9 days, okay. How do you want to do this? Approve it contingent on Mr.
On the
Reisinger
airport.
agreeing it?
I think that makes sense.
Okay,
I think your application just had the 28th.
It did. So either the 28th or the 29th.
Yeah, it doesn't have the 29th.
So just the 28th then.
yeah, let's limit, we need to know the day and the airport
I would-
also.
I would rather do the 29th.
All
I
right,
know I put the 28th on the application, but the 29th
all
would
right,
be
let's
better.
amend that to the 29th then.
And July 4th.
No, we will not do it on July 4th.
Just
And the
The
meeting,
29th, and the motion should be to approve it contingent upon the airport authority agreeing to it. And they will notify, actually Commissioner Peach will probably be there, you're on the authority,
Yes.
so we will know through her.
here is Mr. Reisinger's phone number at the airport.
Thank you.
It might make a difference explaining how big the display is, maybe somebody else is shooting off much larger
Okay,
material, so. Okay, so do we have a motion?
I would make a motion to that effect.
Go ahead.
Okay, the motion is to approve the 29th of June for the display at Memory Fireworks, contingent upon the airport authority agreeing to it.
Correct.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second by Commissioner Knopf, right? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion passes.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
And is your number on this application?
Yes.
Because I'll let you know what I find out from Mr. Reisinger.
Okay.
Or you can let me know, one
Okay.
way or the
Well-
other, if the board needs. to know.
Yeah, you're gonna appear out there, aren't you, Laura?
Yeah, I can go out there, but I'll call Mr. Reisinger
Sure.
to start with. Yeah.
Yeah,
Give him a call first.
Yeah.
that'll be good. Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, Laura, I'd like your phone number, please.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was on there, 512 966 8080.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Firework show application, perhaps we should add question, is it near the airport? If so, is the airport authority aware? So maybe we get some notes to that.
Or a sign or a. Yeah, if
This has come up before and it'll probably come
So
up.
many miles.
if it's on Highway 2, it's
Perhaps the same with the airbase, because I don't know of any fireworks right out there, but they're all closer in.
Right, well, a way to expedite this, because I'm sure we haven't seen the last of these types, where they'll be near the airport or the airbase. And they can come with prior approval of either entity. Just a thought.
next up, the sheriff.
Thank you, Chairman Paul, members of the commission. I'll just make a couple quick comments on the fireworks thing. The applications ran through the county and then it's forwarded to the sheriff's office for, I guess, input. I don't have this yay or nay say in it. We're aware where the addresses are, their location and in proximity to the airbase or to the airport. And I try to annotate that on the applications as far as if it's in proximity, if it should be considered or not. Hopefully they can find a break in the flight pattern to do it. And if not, I guess it is what it is. So I have on the agenda today the topic of our reservists, our reserve deputies, and I included a memo regarding what I'm hoping to do. So I'll just keep it kind of brief. I assume you've all seen the memo. But last year, the state legislature approved for reserve officers to be able to be paid. So I'm looking for is to change their employment or their status with the county from reserve deputy to part-time reserve deputy. And at this time, all I'm requesting is that they be eligible for overtime that is reimbursed by outside entities that are engaging in a contract with us for services. So those examples of those would be the fair that's actually this week, working the racetrack. We often have events in Thompson, Larimore, Northwood, where they request extra deputies, and then we charge them our contract rate. So they would receive that contract rate. It would not be any straight time coming to work a shift ride with anybody receiving a regular rate. It would all be reimbursed. On that, I also did include other status forms that were worked through with HR and Ms. Olson from my office. And if you have any questions, I'm available. I'm requesting right now, I guess, to have those status forms updated with the county. The only thing that I would take note of is the effective date actually has yesterday listed. I'd be fine not making that retroactive because they have not submitted for any overtime yesterday, so.
I got a question I should have asked you, and the sheriff brought this up during our budget meetings also, so it's revenue neutral for us. Are these guys covered under workman's comp at all? They're getting a nod here, they are, so that's not an issue there, so that's good. Okay, that's all I have.
Now, the other note that I guess I'd make on it is the guys that are working for us right now, there's 3 of them. One of them's been there 15 years and the other 2 have been there just over 7. They have hundreds of hours in, not only with training, but actually field experience. So we're lucky to have them at a lot of times like this weekend at the air show. We're very thankful to have them.
Yes, Commissioner.
Move approval of that request. I think they're doing a good job.
Okay. Now,
Second,
okay, we have an approval or a motion and a second. Do I have to sign off on those?
You do.
So signatures,
On the HR forms.
yeah,
That's part of the motion.
excellent. Okay, any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now give us the
Thank
bad
you.
news.
So the other item that I reached out prior to the meeting about was a capital improvement project that was approved last year to complete in this calendar year. And it's regarding the water operations building that we have. We had the commission approved the construction of a de-escalation room along with installing and replacing the lights. There's about 1/10 of the lights that were working in there. So that was approved for $25,000 combined. This was again in 2021. I obtained some bids from contractors. The initial bid came in at about $68,000. And I quickly realized that was not going to work. These contractors, obviously, they all work together with each other and they were able to steer me towards another company, Pace Painting, who was looking for work. They were at a lag or a lull before they could start projects. They were able to get us in and they were able initially to complete the work for what we had in the budget. As the project carried on and they got into the lighting, they ran into, I guess, what I would call a rat's nest of wiring, which required extra time and effort and wire, et cetera, to make it work appropriately. The good news is that the actual construction of the room came in under what was projected, but the lighting came in over. So out of the 25,000 that was approved, our total was 29,750. What I'm asking the commission today is to see if there's an option to increase in that budget line or to submit to capital improvement the extra 4,750 that was accrued during the project.
Cost overruns in old buildings, we're used to that. Anybody have a motion on that?
I move approval.
Thank you.
But when we take it off capital improvements?
Yeah,
I'll second that motion.
motion second, or by Ingham, second by Peach. Any other discussion on this? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you. It is very light out there. You can come take a look now.
I got it, I had it very light tonight.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Director of Administration.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I have a few items for the board's consideration tonight. The first is we have about 20 excess personal computers in IT. They're obsolete. We're not going to use them. They're taking up space. Each PC, they're not worth $400, but when they were purchased, they would have been $400 a piece. The question came from the IT staff, what should we do with them so we can make some room? I'd like the commission to consider donating them to the Career and Technical Education Center. There is a summer academy going on right now. One of them is an IT academy. And I did reach out to Mr. Eric Ripplinger, the director of the CTEC, and they'd be happy to take them. And then essentially how they would be used is the students would be tinkering on them, using them, taking them apart, learning how they work. And the school district's IT would come and destroy the hard drives, leave the hard drives here and take them away for us. And talking with Ms. Wamstad, it would just require the commission to make a motion to donate the excess PCs to the school district.
I would move, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would move approval of that motion.
Very good.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Roth. Any further discussion on that? It's a good solution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
All right, thank you. The next is the Northeast Human Services lease. So believe it or not, that lease will be up for renewal in June of 2023. So this time next year. If you recall, as the board, the Northeast Human Services took a reduction in their lease appropriation in 2021, and they surrendered 3,800 square feet of the north tower on 5th floor. And so we took care of that. That was reflected in the new lease that is the current lease, excuse me. The commission did direct me to start visiting with Northeast Human Services leadership about what can we do with that footprint, because as is, the county can't really do much with it. It can't utilize the office space, nor could it lease it out. One discussion amongst the commission was asking Northeast to consolidate their footprint. So I have visited with Northeast Human Services leadership, and they have provided me a proposal. However, the question to the board is this still the direction the board wants to go into? Essentially, we could obtain an entire tower back if we go down that route. Obviously, this does affect lease revenue. Currently, we're leasing 36,240 square feet, excuse me. That lease revenue is about $530,553 a year. Obviously, that proposal would reduce the footprint, therefore reducing the lease revenue. However, there, as you know, there is a study going on from the state to take a look at how much space the state is leasing and possibly reduce that further. So no guarantee that Northeast Human Services would even be interested in maintaining their current footprint in 2023, because they could take another reduction in lease appropriation. So at this point, before going too much further down this path, is this something the commission still wants to explore, reducing the footprint, which does affect the overall lease revenue?
I'll jump in. I already told Mr. Gordon he'd be crazy to do that. We don't have any tenants for it right now anyway, so leave it the way it is and take the check.
When will they be in a position to just drop any part of it? How long is the lease continuing as it is?
The lease will expire May 30th, 2023. Or excuse, I'm sorry, I take it back. It will expire June 30th, 2023. So Ms. Wamstad, Ms. Nelson, and I would probably start working with Northeast around April. And quite frankly, Northeast Human Services might not even be aware of what their lease appropriation will be until May. So we can hold as is, if that's what the commission would like to do, and I can let the leadership know. Or we can keep going down the renegotiation path.
Fine the way it is. Everybody agree? Okay. Next item.
Next item, now I'm aware of bad news, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. And I know I made Commissioner Falk and Commissioner Knopf aware of this. Some time ago, the cooling system in the server room in the IT office failed. And so temperatures in the server room are reaching 85, 90, 95 degrees. That's not good for servers, and that's where we back everything up in our iDrive, our internal drives. So Mr. Gashesky went ahead and came up with a temporary solution for the problem. We now have a permanent solution, which would essentially reroute some of the air-conditioned ductwork into the server room to permanently cool it. It would modify our JCI monitoring systems so that if something goes down in the server room temperature-wise, it immediately alerts IT and VG, which is a far better system than what we had in place prior. The ductwork will be $1,798 by CL input. JCI control update would be $1,856. So that brings a grand total of $3,654 for the permanent solution. And I would ask that come out of capital improvements. It's something we have to do to keep our servers operating.
Approve any? Commissioner Knox motioning to approve the expenditure. Second by Commissioner Peach. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The second or the next item I have is a foul smell is being reported in the courthouse basement. And I'll test the iron pipe sewer piping is cracking and rotting. 40 feet needs to be replaced. $7,522 to replace it. I did ask Mr. Grzeszewski, because this has come up before in the past and we've had to replace portions of this pipe. Well, how much if we just replace the whole thing? We'd be looking at over $100,000. So at this point, he highly suggests we just take it as it comes. So I'd be asking the commission to approve $7,522 in capital improvements to repair the sewage piping in the courthouse.
And our other option is after that, Ms. Wamps.
I was gonna say, I'm guessing
Right.
State Attorney Wamsted's in favor of this.
Yeah, I would make that motion.
Years ago.
Mhm.
And it was.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I think actually Commissioner Knopf had to end up first, so we have Ross with the motion, Knopf with the second. John second also from Peach.
A third from this page.
Yeah, for sewer replacement in the courthouse. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
It's old copper pipe from 100 years ago. So last thing I have, this came up this morning. We have a problem with the AS400 system in the tax assessor's office. We've done pretty well so far since Mr. Dahl retired. I've asked City IT if they're able to help us out. They can't with this system. It's essentially, there's an update that needs to be done to a host page in the AS400 system. The IT staff have tried their best, but they received no training on AS400. City IT can't help us with it. It's not that they don't want to, they can't. So I'm gonna have to, I've already called and left a voicemail for Mr. Dahl, who did indicate he could come back. I've talked with Ms. Thiel, what are our options, or could be a 1099 option, independent contractor. So I've left a voicemail with him, but I wanted to let the commission know. We've run into a situation where we're just gonna have to ask him to do that. So I guess once I hear back from Mr. Dahl that he's even willing to do it, eventually I guess the process would be visiting with Ms. Thiel and bringing a employee status form to the commission. But right now, Ms. Goditis is kind of stuck and we have to wait till we can get a hold of Mr. Dahl. So that's kind of an FYI at this point.
Can you just wait till July 5th?
That's what I'm wondering.
What should we do?
Well, right now, Ms. Goditis can't even utilize the software.
Well, I think,
I think we have, okay.
you go ahead.
Well, I think we have to approve it conditionally, that we, if Dahl does it at any kind of reasonable rate, which we could leave in your capable hands.
Yeah,
We just approve it and get them started.
if he can get going on it next week, great, or whatever.
Yeah, I can bring it back.
The question I've got is, what is our long-term solution for getting out of this? Yes, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, Tri-Valley used to have the AS 400. And basically, there is no technical support for that system anymore, none. And so what we were told by technical experts was you could have the system bail on you. You may not find anybody who's going to be able to fix it because of the age of the system. We ended up investing dollars into a new updated system that was Microsoft.
What kind of dollars? Not a lot of it.
I think the system we went with was about 150,000. Yeah, but I mean, the AS 400 is a very old system. It is not it does not have a Microsoft version at all. And there's a lot of different systems out there. But I think that needs to be something that needs to be budgeted for, if not in 2022, into 2023, because the way it is, and that was our fear, the way it is you could lose something and never get it back.
We could have a total collapse of that system.
You could have a total collapse of it.
Oh, I was just gonna say Commissioner Peach is correct. I'm visiting with the IT staff and then Mr. Johannesson over at City Hall. She's absolutely right. And in the discussions I've had, probably eventually best to move on from that. But that's something, once we get a new IT director on board, we'll want that IT director to work with Ms. Nelson and Ms. Goditis on how to eventually do that.
And there's a lot there's a lot out there, and some that will even switch from the AS 400 into some type of new system that could have not just accounting, but stuff to do with payroll. I mean, there's a lot of nice pieces out there.
My thought is, maybe we could run it by our man Adam over at the city. About what system would we need to go to, and does he have some thought of what the cost would be for us? I don't know that we can wait 2 years or whatever.
It's pretty scary. I mean, it's
It is.
scary when you think about it.
Everybody else in the world has gotten out of this. We're still kind of in the prehistoric times here, so.
So I have a slight bit of news that might be positive regarding this. We may not have to purchase an additional system or service. We may end up being able to get by figuring out how we get the data out of the old system, because we do have software. We have the TaxWise software and the Tyler Technology software and different things. So it may be that we might be able to get our data out and not necessarily, oh, we can't get it out there.
No, our current system, TaxWise system, doesn't do everything we need it to do, and that's the problem. So
Okay.
we could get the information out, but we'd have no place to put it, so we'd have to have additional software.
And in one of the conversations that we had with the IT guys, they didn't know if there were additional
No,
options that we could purchase from TaxWise to get things active.
I think, Mr. Chair, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to invest in bolstering up another system to accommodate Ms. Nelson and Ms. Goditis so they can migrate.
Why don't you talk to Adam and maybe get back to us in 2 weeks and see what he says, or, so I think we need to kind of keep moving along on this a little bit. And especially now, if we're in budget time, we need to put that as, we need to put it in capital improvements, but we're gonna have a hard time finding money other than there, but we need to look at this before.
And I did put some extra funding in the IT budget to get us ready to start migrating. So there is some funding in the proposed 2023 budget. So,
And if the commission is interested in the possibility in this point in time right now, of bringing on Ms. Udall, my request would be that if you're gonna kind of approve something conditionally, that you allow Mr. Ford and I to have the flexibility of determining if it's a part-time temporary position or if it is an independent contractor, which is 1099. Because if we have that ability, we may be able to come to some kind of negotiation with Mr. Dahl, because I don't know which he would prefer. But we can make either one of them work. The biggest thing would be just letting us know, we want it to be a reasonable number of hours and a reasonable rate, so we could come up with that proposal if you decided who could approve it.
Maybe it'd be easier if we just approve X number of dollars. And if you have to go above that, you come back to us, but. Reasonable. So. What's it gonna take? $2,500? I don't know.
I have no idea because I don't know.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I would recommend, Mr. Chair, just an approval up to $2,500. I don't fix it. It probably won't take, I'm hoping not too many hours, but up to might be appropriate.
That reason, anybody want to make a motion on that? Motion by Commissioner Keith to move up to $2,500 to bring Mr. Dahl back and under whatever capacity is negotiated between Human Resources and Mr. Ford. And do we have a second on that? Second by Commissioner Reagan. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
No, wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
How about the gentleman with the long face back there?
Mr. Clevin is not here at my invitation. He's here just to.
General interest
see
and
all of you.
curiosity, sir.
He does not have any bad news for the commission today.
Excellent.
Mr. Clevin.
Yes,
I have something for you. You inspected the main grandstand
I did.
about, what, a month or so ago?
May 20th.
Yeah, and you were gonna have a report
It was sent to Mr. Stromstad this afternoon,
this afternoon.
and Mr. Ford also has a copy.
Can you give us an abbreviated?
Yeah, there's one steel column. I know you can hear me, but I'll be formal. There's one steel column that has regressed over the last couple of years, and it's just a kind of a plate steel and angle reinforcement that has to happen. And then on the footboards where people sit, there's a couple patches that were just nailed on plywood, so it sticks above the walking surface.
Okay.
And their staff knows that's not the way to do it. And so the report has that as an item, is just replace it with footboards so the walking surface doesn't have a trip hazard.
Okay.
Very nominal stuff. You know, I was actually pretty favorably impressed, I guess, so, because we didn't do an inspection last year. Did it this year, I was kind of pessimistic it would be worse,
Yeah,
but it was pretty clean, so just pretty easy repairs, all can be done after the race season. So onward and upward and kind of prepare for the next annual inspection.
okay.
Sir,
Hey, are you guys doing the ramp yet? Are you still in that, or who's doing that now?
the draft report's due from the specialist on the 25th of June.
Okay, that's all I was looking for,
Yeah.
is where we're going now. So we're moving along. on that.
Yeah, and I would expect to have a full report prior to a meeting in the following month. So about a month from now, because I've got some stuff I've got to do, want to review it, shore up costs, make sure, you know, the wording's all consistent, and then have a final report available in about a month.
So that's glad to hear that.
I
Yes.
just have a question with regard to the grandstand. But is it this year, the end of this year, that all those repairs were supposed to be done?
It was a 5-year cycle. It would have been 2023.
So next year, at
Yes.
the end of the year.
Yes, but kind of, you know, what we've entered on in lieu of charging ahead on all those is we did that first big project where we fixed the steel above the concessions, and when we fixed some rotten wood rakers underneath the seats. And then we kind of are like annually will inspect it. And if it doesn't regress, and every year we do things like we're doing this year where we fix a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that we're kind of on that process right now in lieu of fixing everything. And if we do it annually, I think that's an appropriate way to manage the facility.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the updates.
No, glad to give them. If I didn't have any, I wouldn't have been here today, sir.
Well, I like them. They're all pretty positive for us, so.
He was not here to recommend we call Commissioner Mull.
Yeah. Always joke he's available to implode the parking ramp, so. Okay, State's Attorney,
I have nothing.
committee reports, Commissioner Peach.
Today we had the county zone meeting. Finances are going good. They're continued to be in the hiring process. They are in the process of hiring 5 staff for economic assistance. The majority of those that they need to fill positions, people are retiring. So there've been a number of staff that have been there for a considerable amount of time. It's just they're reaching retirement and they're leaving their positions. So that's why they're looking to hire staff. Also, we went into executive session and we did Mr. Pickett's evaluation, his 6-month evaluation as being an employee, and it was very positive. He's done a very good job. I did talk to another zone director recently, and she too said that she was very impressed with Mr. Pickett and how he's doing. So that was done at the zone meeting today. The Grand Forks Airport Authority meeting is on Thursday at 9 a.m. That's all I have. And I will deal with the gal from Memory Fireworks and make sure that I have a discussion with Ryan to let him know that he will be receiving a call from her.
Great. Commissioner Knopf.
A couple things. First of all, happy first day of summer. So starting tomorrow.
Winter's coming.
Starting tomorrow, the days get shorter. Oh, so we're at our peak of summer, I guess. So, like Commissioner Ross said, the fair starts tomorrow and runs through Sunday. And so I will be helping out this year again. I have the same duties that I have done in the past, and that will start this evening. And then for those that might be interested, Sunday will be senior day. And so again, we will have a band and serving lunch. And so there'll be entertainment, music and dancing, and like I say, the free lunch, and it's a great time. People love it. And it's a fun time. And so looking forward to doing that. And then I'm also working with the open class event that we have. Library, I don't know if anybody follows it on Facebook, but they've been very, very busy. They've got a lot going on. I participated with start a summer reading program. And so we did that on June 4th. And I think that it was an outdoor event, 2 hours. And we probably had about 300 children plus parents. And so it was a wonderful turnout and what have you. And of course, kids can say the darndest things. I was in charge of Legos and have never done a Lego anything in my whole life. But one of the things that we had was just a clear container with a bunch of Legos inside, all different shapes and sizes, and kids were to guess how many were in there. So I had this one little 5-year-old, and he was just staring at this, and I said, how many are in there, and he just looks up at me and he says, all of them. And it was just like, yeah, that's right, you got it. All of them are in there. So like I say, they say the craziest things, but it was a fun day, and the library's doing wonderful things, and I'm very proud of them. And we have an opening on the board that they're advertising again. Pete Johnson was done. And of course, course, Katie Doppler, but she will be replaced by whoever the new city worker will be. So then I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the excess furniture. You know, we've had the commission desks and chairs and what have you, and file cabinets and whatever. And so I did reach out to the library and I did reach out to CBIC to see if they had a need or any interest in that, and they do. And so Bill and I have had them over and looked at the furniture. And CBIC is interested in taking 2 of the commission desks and 4 of the swivel chairs, the blue swivel chairs. And the library is interested in 8 file cabinets. And so, so what I need to talk with you about is that we've really never talked about, we talked about how we might dispose of them and of this office equipment, but we've never talked about dollar values and things like that. And so I need some guidance from you and to talk about the costs, because I've not talked about costs to CBIC and or the library, and I prefer not to. But what I want to talk to you about is, and get your approval on, is coming up with a dollar amount. And once we've done that, I am going to purchase that equipment and I will donate it to them. And so I need some guidance from you on what you want for
I
that.
think we should just donate.
Yeah.
I agree.
And they're nonprofits.
Yeah, and I don't remember if I ran into Dennis Herbeck. I don't know if I brought that, but for those who don't know him, he used to be the juvenile court, and he was also the district court administrator. Also known as a antique collector, runs a sale. He knows. So anyway, I ran into him and he knows our stuff in the basement. I talked to him about it. He says, Tom, I'll come down and meet with you and Commissioner Knopf, I mentioned you. And we know him, and he says, I'll look at it, but it's a tough sell on that stuff. Other than, I mentioned those nice old chairs, he said, even those are getting to be a hard sell. Yeah, those, he says, they'll sell, but you gotta really work at it. And then you can still sell those law bookcases, which those belong either, I don't know if they're ours or the court, but we don't want to get rid of those. So those are he thought only the real valuable things. These are, Commissioner Ross wants to make a motion to donate, which I agree. These are nonprofits. Let's let them have it.
Yep.
Well, they would very much appreciate
Yeah.
that, you know, and we partner with them, and so I would love to be able to tell them that the commission, this was a decision made by the commission, but
Are you seconding that one?
so I'm gonna second the motion, and so appreciate that.
Absolutely.
They can have what they want.
Great.
We've got the motion.
Yeah.
More the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
we have a
then the only
motion.
other, oh, go ahead.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye on the donation.
Aye.
Ooh, next.
And the only other thing is that I will be helping with the election board canvassing on the 27th. So that's all I have.
Thank you for that. I talked to Debbie about it and I asked if she talked to you and you were back
She
in-
told me,
back to
who
normal.
said I had to.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
We're short of people here, so, okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Ingen.
Okay, attended the Vantas ribbon cutting out at Grand Sky on Thursday. It was well attended, all kinds of people, the governor spoke. It was a really interesting, good event. And we did get to see the Thunderbirds because they were racing around just playing games or something.
Just coming in.
Just arriving and that kind of thing. So that was all we saw, the Thunderbirds for the rest of the week. Then on the evening on Thursday, Commissioner Falk led the meeting, Commissioner Ross was there. The home rule charter town hall was held at Red River High School. And not a whole lot of people there. I think I counted 26 or so. Some fairly vocal, but it was a civilized meeting and it went all right. And I wish we could get more people at these things because that would be helpful. But other than that, I went to the air show on Saturday and got blown back to Northwood without seeing anybody fly. It was really an amazing time. So the last thing I have is, I talked to Mr. Ford and Debbie Nelson about trying to help out NDSU extension. Leslie from the manager there called me today. She's in Langdon. She has an issue with trying to hire a person. And we tried to give her the number to call in, and the number ID, the ID number didn't work. And is there any way we can have her speak on a cell phone? Would everyone hear that? Or should we just tell her, sorry, can't do the thing? She's waiting for me to text or call her if there's any way we can pull this off.
Okay, let's finish up our committee reports. Let's see where we're at.
Mr. Ross.
And then we'll see if we can't get her on the phone and take care of that. Shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Planning and zoning we had, which we just dealt with. Fair board meeting every Wednesday prior to the fair. And Commissioner Knopf gave you a report of what's going on. So, and then I was interested in the report on the main grandstand, which I was supposed to have 2 weeks ago. And so we got that now. We had budget meeting for Friday and Monday. We had that town hall meeting on home rule. I was with Dave on that ribbon cutting out at the Grand Sky. And MPO had an MPO meeting last week, I believe. And of course, the talk is always the bridges and stuff, so no resolution.
Isn't there a meeting coming up soon? Isn't the city right? I thought.
There is one coming up
Leland
in.
said he was putting together a meeting.
Yep, he is, and there's, you know, there's a lot of interest on that Roland Young Memorial Bridge, AKA the Rearfield Bridge. So that people feel that there should be at least 2 bridges. And so I guess that's where it stands. I know the chamber is very interested in doing it. A lot of like Senator Cruen from Grand Forks, he's pushing it. And so we'll have to see where it goes.
Pushing the Merrifield Bridge.
Yep.
But the east side wants. an
But that's
intercity.
totally independent from the intercity bridge, so. And of course, you all know that East Grand bought property adjacent to 32nd Avenue on the other side, but the city of Grand Forks has not approved that, so.
But in Merrifield Bridge, isn't there some of the issue that there isn't a state highway that runs through that, so that would have to all be changed too, so I just.
There's been some talk on the state level at North Dakota Department of Transportation, according to Senator Cruen. They are interested in that. Years and years ago, when Senator Cruen was on city council, that was the corridor for the bridge to go over into Minnesota, designated by the city of Grand Forks.
But that doesn't solve the downtown issues of all this traffic.
Right.
Nobody's gonna use that bridge to
No,
come go to
no.
work or whatever. It's still gonna be the same traffic jam downtown.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think our funding wouldn't be there, the state funding, if we don't have an interstate connection. At least that's what I've been told in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah, but DOT said they would put an interchange at Muirfield at the over.
But I don't see us getting Merrifield and 47th, and the city needs 47th a lot more than Merrifield.
Well, 47th is not on the list. It's 32nd and Oaks, 24th Avenue South.
No, the interchange.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah,
interchange,
the 47th,
The
yeah.
city has to have that to take off the traffic on 32nd and the Mers, but.
Yeah.
Okay, that's their problem.
But I don't think East Side's gonna go for it if it's not an intercity bridge, because that's what their need is.
They spent a lot of money over there. They've got engineers at the MnDOT working on that right now.
Commissioner Ross, the chamber's having a meeting with North Dakota DOT on Thursday at 1 o'clock. To talk about how the city and the county can secure state funding to build a Merrifield Bridge Road. You and I have been invited to attend that meeting. They're gonna provide a Zoom link so that myself and you as the county MPO rep can sit on that, and then the city administrator and the
What time
mayor.
is it on Thursday?
Thursday at 1. The chambers, it's like apparently it's the chambers meeting.
Yep.
They've organized it.
It's at City Hall, isn't it? Or
Yeah, so they're gonna provide us a Zoom link to participate in that. And then I think Commissioner Knopf brought up the funding. The real issue is the infrastructure, the federal infrastructure money, and it's very difficult to apply federal infrastructure money to a road that's not a federal road or state road, so that's very accurate.
And then the other thing is that FEMA grant for the Burke edition for that will come out in July, I believe.
Bridge that would be high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the crossing there. Bert.
75-25 match.
And that's it.
That's county.
County.
On, let's see, about 10 days ago, I met with Ms. Hanson, Ms. Spain, juvenile court, and Lisa Johnner from the state about the detention center and the kids that don't go in the detention center. And I learned more acronyms than I care to remember. But things are going along pretty well. The state's pretty happy with us, very happy. So that was a very positive meeting. I promised those folks out along County Road 5, I'd drive out there and I did take a look at that. It's a lot of gravel road and it's probably low, but right now there's no water there. It's green. It's beautiful. It's kind of like what Nick said. That's why you move out there. It's a valley. But there are 3 or 4 real low, I guess they're bridges, but they're really crossings almost, but all those would have to be raised. We're talking a lot of money out there, so. Home rule charter, yeah, that went about as well as I thought, well as we could expect. You know, we had a couple of friendly faces in the group and some that were on information and some that weren't happy with us, some that were happy with the city, which we said, we're not the city once again. And then Mr. Ford, I think you're gonna try to work to maybe get one set up at Larimore and Northwood.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm actually working with Commissioner Ringen on one at Northwood.
Okay, we'll see how that goes.
The survey closes July 6th, and then the consultants will present the survey findings to the commission on July 12th. And then that's when I would recommend some more
Yeah.
public engagements.
And there'll be more positive on that. They'll be like Mr. West. He got a big smile when he thought he might get money for rural roads and bridges and roads primarily, so that would help them. So that's fine there. Budget meetings went fine. You know, I guess the election judge, we took care of that. That's all I have.
I just have one question
Yeah.
on the survey. I know we don't have a tally, but do we know, have there been a lot of people that have, do you have any indication that there's been a lot of people that have filled it out?
Yes, ma'am. Today, as of yesterday at 5 o'clock, 520 people have completed the survey. I asked Mr. Hibner if that's good, and he said that that's actually ahead of the curve for this time, you know, for how long a survey's been open. So good participation so far.
Okay, we're down to unfinished new business, Department of Commerce public hearing. That information for us?
Mr. Chair, member of the commission, there is a public hearing on the state building code July 12th. Information.
And then the dam safety workshop.
That's informational. If you want to attend that.
And the ARPA receipt. That's all we have.
Yes, we got our second tranche on June 10th. So we got our 6.7 million.
So we'll have to. I think Mr. Ford, you're probably working on that, setting up there's some requests, and then we're gonna have to set up another ARPA meeting, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that's something I was gonna follow up with the commission, on what they would like to do next. You have the CVIC request, and then, the mission has also, requested some funding, so we're waiting on when we get the second pot and what the commission would like to do there, so.
I asked CBIC to put together a list of any other monies that might qualify, because we aren't able to fund them the way we adequately can. And they are working, most of you know, with the state about some funding statewide, which hopefully they give, and they said we'd be happy to support them on it. And then I think we have a few other applications, and then hopefully we can channel a good portion of this money toward the correctional center, which is, and we're gonna have cost overruns that are gonna give us a headache, so.
Chair, members of the
Yes.
commission, we only have 4 million of that 6.7 million.
Why?
Haven't been allocated.
What happened to the rest of it? We spent it ahead of time?
You did. You did, you set aside $1 million for the correctional center in
Okay.
and then you put 400,000 to the Career Impact Academy. And then 1.4 million for the icon for the correctional center.
Oh, yeah, but those,
Engineering fees.
yeah, that money really is money we'd have to spend anyway on correction. So actually 2.4 of that already is applied to corrections.
Right, right, exactly.
I thought you were gonna have to get the jumper cables out here. Thank you. Okay, well,
But
We'll
those
work
were the motions that were made.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for reminding me. Good. We'll get on that. Anything else for the good of the order?
You want to call that gap?
Oh, yes, you do.
I got a new calling ID from Mr. Ford, texted that to Leslie Smarts. And I think she sent back a message that was intended for someone else, saying that the board voted to go with another firm. It has nothing to do with this.
Why don't
So,
you just call her, let's put it on
Can
speaker.
we just do it on a cell phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Just hold
And
it up to
maybe
your
hold it up to
microphone.
the mic. And
Yeah.
everyone-
Yeah, okay.
One needs to call the inner mic guy.
Yes.
If you want to copy Jarvin. in the health department. Is it Jarvin or Jaden? Jarvin. But the late one, I forgot, drop those off. If you want to copy, take one, pass. No.
Oh, well, Leslie?
Hi.
Yeah, Dave Engen from the commission. We're still in session and we're gonna just have you be on the speakerphone here. So you want to brief the commission on the issue that we're talking about?
No, I'll tell you what happened. Our board met and they voted to go with a grant works firm. This was regarding the bylaws and covenants to build my patio homes.
Oh, all right. That, okay, that's just the wrong number then. So, okay, that's fine.
Okay,
All right, bye.
super.
Mhm.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't know where she is.
Not with that person.
No. I thought that's who it was. Not gonna work. So. Thanks for giving it a try, but I don't know how to reach her.
You haven't talked to her at all, or?
Yeah, I did, but when you have 4 or 5 numbers without any names on them and no messages, it's a little,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
figure out who's.
yeah.
Let me just take a look at one more thing. No, I don't have that, so, well, right,
Chair,
best we can do.
Yes,
Since Ms. Thiel isn't here, I do have a question for Mr. Ford. Where are we at right now with hiring a new IT director?
Yeah, Commissioner Peach, I think as you're all aware, we reposted. And I believe it does close this week. So I'm not aware of the total amount of applications. Two of the applicants were from the last pool, they reapplied again. But I know that we've received a pool of applicants and it closes this week.
okay, anything else? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Don't bet it, Bob.
Well, normally you
All in
ask.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Excited.